We've won 2 trophies in the International Hexagon Challenge. After winning the AFC Cup with Japan, we need to move on. But we have to be patient. Because right now, the only jobs available are in Asia. So we waited 6 months for the Gold Cup to finish. But neither Mexico or the USA sacked their manager, as they both reached the final. Which means our next best chance of getting a job is after the European Championships and Copa America next summer. So I actually took the decision to resign as manager of Japan. Mostly so I can holiday all the way through to next summer, but also so I don't feel guilty about ruining the international careers of a few Japanese regens. So 12 months later, Portugal win the Euros, with big hitters like England, France and Germany losing in the quarterfinals. Colombia won Copa America, where incredibly, Brazil didn't even make the knockouts, as they finished behind Chile and Venezuela in their group. But both the USA and Mexico were taking part in Copa America, and neither of them did very well. So both of these jobs are available, as well as France, Germany, Portugal and Brazil. So I feel a little bit stuck. The USA and Mexico jobs don't come around very often, and they're the only 2 countries that really we're going to win the Gold Cup with. And actually, Mexico are the reigning World Cup champions, so that's actually a very decent shout. But the European teams that I mentioned, and Brazil, are maybe our best chance of winning the World Cup in 2 years' time. So I applied for all 6 nations that I mentioned, and got offers from all 6 of them, and then some more. So I have a really tough decision to make. And in the end, I chose Mexico. Before you scream, hear me out. They are of course the reigning World Cup champions, which counts for something. Striker Luis Manuel Robles was also the runner-up in the 2035 Ballon d'Or, and won the Premier League with Liverpool. Goalkeeper Enrique Maximiliano Vite has won the World Golden Glove Award, and they have Real Madrid starting centre-back in Angel Parra. I'm starting to see how they won the World Cup 2 years ago now. Plus the Gold Cup that we need to win is hosted every 2 years. So we could win it next summer, and then have a go at the World Cup, and then after that, leave for a job in Europe or South America. Unless of course I totally bottle it. Our first game is against our former team Honduras in the Nations League in November 2036. It turns out Mexico don't have any good left-sided attackers, so we're running a 4-4-2 diamond, where we pass the ball through the middle of the pitch quickly. And it clearly works, because 18 minutes in, we scored our first goal. Although the deflection means it goes down as an own goal. So officially, the first Mexican to score for me is Real Madrid centre-back Angel Parra. But Liverpool striker Luis Manuel Robles was also keen to show me what he could do, as he scored twice in the second half to make it 4-0. The evening was rounded off by young striker Néstor Esvedo to win the first leg 5-0. Robles then scored a hat-trick in the second leg to send us through to the semi-finals, which will be played in March. Here we have a real test, as we're up against the United States of America, and we're without our first choice keeper due to injury. They're a good defensive side who wouldn't let us get a decent shot away on goal. We came agonisingly close 36 minutes in, but somehow we couldn't score after the keeper appeared to lose control of the ball. And even when we got really lucky thanks to defenders running into each other, we still couldn't get the ball in the back of the net. Naturally though, we score the hardest opportunity we get, as centre mid Mario Martinez scored a beautiful goal into the top corner to give us the lead at half time. But 5 minutes into the second half, we left the USA striker totally unmarked in the 6-yard area, allowing him to score a tap-in. Gabriel Slaninia was forced to make a really good save, denying us an equaliser, and then once again from a corner to keep the scores level. At the other end of the pitch, we shoved over Lara, and the referee pointed to the spot, where the USA took the lead of the game and won the match, knocking us out of the Nations League. What did I say earlier about bottling things? It might be coming true. Luckily, this isn't the Gold Cup. That's going to happen in 6 months' time, and we need to rapidly improve if we want to win it. And we might improve if we call up the 2 young strikers who were named in the top 10 of the Next Gen Awards. Osvaldo Martinez still plays in Mexico, and his lack of physical ability might be the reason for that. Silviano Rodriguez is a lot faster, and as a result, is now playing for PSG. So they've been called up to be backups for the Gold Cup squad, where I've also tweaked our formation, so we hopefully don't have a repeat of the USA debacle. We're in Group D, where we should comfortably win all 3 games. Honduras was the trickiest game for us, but Luis Robles showed the young strikers how it was done as he scored a brace in a 3-1 win. We then coasted past Barbados, winning 9-0, which earned us a spot in the quarterfinals. So I handed debuts to both Martinez and Rodriguez. And it was Osvaldo Rodriguez who took the opportunity with both hands as he scored himself a hat-trick against Suriname in a 5-1 victory to ensure we topped the group with 9 points. I then started them both again against Haiti in the quarterfinal, as I stuck with a rotated lineup. But it kind of backfired as Haiti scored first. We only managed to equalise in the 82nd minute through centre mid Angel Nieto, and we only took the lead because Haiti's defender shoved over Rodriguez in the 90th minute, giving us a penalty, which we scored. We then did get another in the 92nd minute to make the scoreline look a little less embarrassing. So we need to be way better if we want to beat Costa Rica to reach the final. And with a full-strength lineup, we were so much better. Second striker Luis Sendez scored twice either side of half-time to give us a comfortable lead. Costa Rica did score 70 minutes into the match to make things a little bit nervy, but we scored a third 5 minutes later to see the game out and reach the final, where we had the chance to get revenge on the United States of America. We started strong, sending some early warning shots from distance. To score, we're going to need to get closer. So when fullback Vazquez put in a low cross, Sendez skillfully flipped the ball into the path of Sergio Ordaz, who scored from point-blank range. But we've been here before, leading against the United States at half-time, and last time we went on to lose. So when 90 seconds into the second half, Parra scored from a corner, I started to believe that things might be different this time. Although the USA tried hard to change that, only being denied a goal by the woodwork. Neither of our strikers were doing much, so on come Martinez and Rodriguez. Straight away we had a corner which was cleared to the edge of the area, where Martinez hit it and scored. Although this is a different Martinez, not Osvaldo. But Osvaldo did have a huge part to play, switching the ball to the far side of the pitch, allowing us to penetrate into the penalty area and score our 4th goal of the evening. Then both young strikers played their part again. We countered following a US free kick, where Osvaldo gets the ball to Rodriguez, who holds on to it well, letting the rest of the team catch up, and then passing it nicely to ensure we can shoot and score goal number 5. Frustratingly, we can't quite keep a clean sheet as the USA scored with 7 minutes to go, but at this point, we didn't care. We win the Gold Cup, and I feel totally justified in taking the Mexico job as we lift trophy number 3, meaning we're halfway through the International Hexagon Challenge. Our attention now shifts to the World Cup. We need to beat Trinidad and Tobago, Haiti and Curacao to get ourselves on the plane to South Africa. And as you would expect, we went on to win every single game in this group, comfortably qualifying for the World Cup, with finally Silviano Rodriguez scoring his first international goal. Although the Mexican media think he should be dropped because PSG aren't a big enough club. I rate the Mexican media. But the media's big question is, will everyone watching right now subscribe to the channel? It's not actually their question. The real question is, can we go back to back in the World Cup? But a subscribe would be really nice, so would much appreciate it. Thank you. As reigning champions, we're in pot 1. And from pot 2, I'd quite like Australia, seeing as they were very easy to beat in the Asian Cup final. But instead we get a tough draw against Morocco. If we can avoid Serbia, Ukraine and South Korea in pot 3, I'll be happy. And we do, as we're given Thailand. But we can only draw a European team from pot 4, and we've been given Austria. This is a tough group. There is no guarantee we're going to make it through. But we surprised ourselves when we thrashed Austria 4-0 on the opening night, as Luis Robles scored himself a hat-trick to put his name firmly in the Golden Boot race. This gave me the confidence to rotate a lot of the team against Thailand, where young backup strikers Silviano Rodriguez and Osvaldo Martinez both got on the score sheet. And then switching back to a stronger lineup for Morocco, we once again won 4-0, which means we had the most dominant display in the group stage. Maybe going back to back isn't as impossible as we thought it might be. This sets us up against Ukraine in the second round, where after 90 minutes the scores remain 0-0. But in extra time, we came alive, and scored 4 goals in a 12-minute period to eventually win the game 4-0. This sends us to the business end of the tournament and sets us up against Switzerland. We took the lead 72 minutes into the game through Luis Senders, but 5 minutes later, the Swiss were able to level things up and take us to extra time. Senders then scored again to give us the lead, but in the 117th minute, we gave away a soft foul which earned the Swiss a penalty that they went on to score, taking the game to a penalty shootout. The Swiss scored their first, but so did we. Both sides then went on to score their second spot kicks as well. But then Vite saved the third Swiss penalty, but so did Fosto for our third kick. Luckily for us, Vite made another save, and this time we scored, piling on the pressure for Berisha, who also had his penalty saved, meaning we progressed to the quarterfinals. If we can beat the Dutch, we could be set to play our former nation Japan in the semis. We were certainly doing our bit when we raced into a 3-0 lead within the first 30 minutes of the match, as both Robles and Parra got on the score sheet. The Dutch did pull one back just before half time, and then made things nervy when they scored 56 minutes in. But we got ourselves back a 2-goal cushion when Robles scored 10 minutes from time. The Dutch scored a third goal in the 92nd minute, but it was too little too late. We make it to the World Cup semi-finals, where we are going to face our old friends in Japan. Somehow we have to keep Nikita Bita quiet, but with 8 goals and an 8.68 average rating, he looks unstoppable. So we told our right back Calderon to specifically mark Tabita for the entire match. We had the first chance of the game from a corner, but Japan cleared it. The ball was worked back to Robles, whose shot hit the post, keeping the scores level. Japan were having more joy with balls over the top, as they put one through to Tabita, who'd got away from Calderon, but luckily had his effort saved by Vite. Then in the 46th minute, we had a corner, and Parra powered a header home to give us the lead. Incredibly, 4 minutes into the second half, he did it again, putting us closer to the final. We nullified Japan and Tabita for the rest of the second half, forcing them to shoot from distance. So we end up as 2-0 winners and head to the World Cup final, where we're taking on Spain, who still have Lamine Yamal, Gavi and Marc Bernal playing in their first team. But what transpired was one of the most anticlimactic games I have ever watched in Football Manager. It was looking like we'd seen no highlights in the first half at all, until we literally got to injury time and came alive. Following a free kick, Senders was only denied the opening goal by the post. Then from another free kick, centre-back Elizalde hit the post again. So we go into the break with the scores level. The second half was going the exact same way, so we had to change something. Off come the strikers for youngsters Osvaldo Martinez and Silviano Rodriguez, who didn't have an impact. Instead, it was Spain who were on the attack, and we were lucky that their shot from distance deflected wide off the post. With the scores level in the 87th minute, I thought the game was going to penalties. But we tried to pass the ball forwards, only for Spain to intercept the pass, and race forwards themselves on the counter, overloading the middle of the pitch, and scoring the goal that gives them the lead. So we threw everything we had forwards, working the ball out to this near side, threading a pass into Osvaldo Martinez, who could only find the crossbar. We came so close, yet we're so far from winning the World Cup. If we'd just been more clinical and not hit the post 3 times, it could have been a totally different story. This also means we need to leave Mexico in search for a new job in Europe or South America to focus on those continental competitions. Argentina, England, France, Germany, Italy and Portugal are all available. So I applied for all of them, but only 4 of the European nations wanted me. France make the most sense as they're ranked 3rd in the world, but Portugal are the reigning European champions. Italy also have one of the best strikers I've ever seen in Football Manager, and he would be fun to manage. But I couldn't turn down the chance to win England their first European Championships and second World Cup. Football is about to come home. England's star man is Cherubin Kabongo, a midfield maestro at the start of his prime. Kamal Mir is one of the best wingers I have ever seen in Football Manager, and I reckon he's going to get us a ton of assists. And with Ryan Rees leading the line, he should fire us to victory. But at 29 years old, will he still be around for the next World Cup? In fact, there are quite a few England players I'm going to have to phase out as we prepare for the European Championships. We kick off life at England in the UEFA Nations League. We travelled to Amsterdam and saw Camille Mir score a hat-trick from the left wing to earn us a 3-1 victory. Centre midfielder Sebastian Wassell scored our first goal at Wembley against Slovakia before Mir added another goal to his haul in September's international break. In October, striker Ryan Rees got the game's only goal against the 2034 World Cup runners-up Ireland, and then backup left winger Nat Wallbank scored twice away in Slovakia to make it 4 wins from 4. In November, we welcomed the Dutch to London and scored twice either side of half-time to look like we were cruising to a 5th victory. However, the Dutch scored twice around the hour mark to ensure we didn't pick up another win and instead draw the match. Not that it mattered though. Ryan Rees scored twice against Ireland, although both goals were in the 90th minute of the game, to ensure we round off the Nations League group stage in style, topping it by 6 points, which means we go through to the semi-finals in summer. Before we get there though, we have European Championship qualifying to get started with. Based on the world rankings, Sweden are just behind us, ranked 14th in the world, but the other games should be a walk in the park. So in the March break, we saw right winger Tim Penfold and striker Ryan Rees both score braces in a 4-0 home victory against Romania. Rees then scored again away in Poland as we earned ourselves a 3-1 victory for the perfect start to the qualifying. And now as we head into summer, we have the Nations League knockout games. The semi-final against Denmark was a wonderfully routine match as we limited the Danes to just 3 shots all game and scored 2 goals ourselves to earn a great victory. Normally I'm not bothered by the UEFA Nations League, but this time I am. Because we're up against Spain, who knocked us out of the 2034 World Cup with Japan and beat us in the 2038 World Cup with Mexico. And just 4 minutes in, we opened the scoring from a low near post corner. Around 30 minutes in, Spain played dangerously at the back, giving the ball away cheaply, but we couldn't quite make it count. However, the clearance was poor, allowing Bayliss to break into the area and feed Ryan Rees to give us a second. And Spain didn't learn from their mistakes. 7 minutes later, they were once again complacent in possession. Mir won the ball and then powerfully finished to make it 3. At half-time, Spain have only managed 1 shot, whereas we have been clinical. But there were 0 highlights in the second half as neither side did much, meaning we win the game and the Nations League, which is so insignificant there isn't even a trophy lift cutscene. Either way, it's been an almost perfect first 12 months in charge of England. Our focus for the 2039-40 season is qualifying for the Euros, and in September we do a professional job of beating closest rivals in the group Sweden 4-0 at Wembley. Then I gave a debut to striker Edward Bennett, who repaid my faith in him by scoring twice as we beat Belarus 3-0 away from home. However, in October we almost lost to Romania. They took the lead 3 minutes in, but we equalised 4 minutes later. Romania then took back the lead minutes before half-time, and if it wasn't for Ryan Rees's heroic header in the 90th minute, we would have lost the match. Thankfully, we got back on track with a 4-0 thrashing of Poland as backup right winger Mark Grayson scored twice in the first half, causing me a few selection headaches. But our first loss of my tenure might cause me more selection headaches, as we need to do better than we did in a 2-0 defeat away in Sweden. Luckily, we did end up beating Belarus 2-0 in our final qualification game, which means we topped the group by 3 points ahead of Sweden, who after beating us, drew with Romania. So now we have our first shot at the European Championships, which we desperately need to win to complete the International Hexagon Challenge. Luckily, we've been given an easy group. Norway are the highest ranked opposition, but they're only 44th in FIFA rankings. However, we won't be playing the Euros until next time. So subscribe to the channel to make sure you're the first to know when the next episode of the International Hexagon Challenge releases.